Okay, basically why we want to study about organic compound in the environment is because most of the organic pollutants that are used or the organic chemicals that are used in our daily life, which includes the agriculture, cosmetic or food, etc., commonly comes from synthetic chemicals. So the synthetic means that it is man-made and it cannot be found naturally in the environment. So most of these synthetic chemicals that are derived from petroleum or natural gas. This has been synthesized from different chemicals, and some of these chemicals they tend to undergo degradation or they can be transformed into other metabolites. Sometimes the produced chemical they are not hazardous or toxic to humans or the environment, but once they are transformed into other compounds or derivatives, then they become toxic or carcinogenic. So there are a few types that I'll be focusing on. One is the polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, or we call it PAH. And then pesticide. We have many types of pesticides, which include insecticide and herbicides. And then we have dioxins. Okay, dioxin is an example of metabolites that are formed during the synthesis of chemical, which were initially are not toxic, but its byproducts are toxic, and then polychlorinated biphenyls or PCBs. This type of four organic compound groups, they are known to be carcinogenic or they can tend to undergo bioaccumulation or biomagnification. They are persistent. But right now, we are facing some of other emerging contaminants such as microplastic, nanocompounds, okay, or nanoparticles, estrogens that comes from pharmaceutical waste and so on. These groups of chemical compound they are still under study, but as of what is listed here, they are known to be toxic. Okay. Let's look at the first one, which is polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons or PHS. Okay, PHS is basically they contain a fused benzene ring. Okay, for example, is naphthalene. So it consists of two fused rings. So naphthalene is the simplest form of PHS. So another example is anthracite. They can have many types of PHS based on the number of the fused rings. Okay, for example, phenethrine, benzopyrene, pyrene or coronine, and etc. So there are many types of PHS. Okay, what is the use of PHS? Unfortunately, only naphthalene are commercially made because they are widely used as plasticizers, insecticides, or surfactant. While the other PHS, they don't have any uses. So they don't have any uses means that they are metabolized or they occurs naturally due to the chemical reaction. Okay. For example, they can be formed by incomplete combustion of carbon-based fuel. For example, coal, wood, diesels. Okay. So because of this, because diesel produce so much of PHS, it's now been said that the exhaust or the gas that are formed from diesel combustion that contain PHS, they are called probable human carcinogen. That means that they have the potential to cause cancer. Another example is from cigarette smoking. So in cigarette, it contains tar. Okay, so when tar is combust, it can produce PHS. Another source is from burning of char food or smoked food. Okay, for example, when you are burning or you are smoking satay or barbecue foods and so on, the black char that are attached to your food it contain PHS. Okay, the burn food. Okay, the black colored burn on your food it contain PHS. Okay, and other than that, PHS constitute about 0.1%. That is approximately about 1000 ppm of airborne particulate matter. So it can depend on whether this PHS is in gaseous form or it's in solid form. Okay. So during haze, you will have a very high concentration of PHS in the airborne particulate matter. Okay, that is why this PHS is very toxic. It's because it has a carcinogenic. It has been confirmed on test animal that these chemicals, PHS, is carcinogenic. So they have the potential to cause cancer to human. And the most dangerous form is benzoapyrene. Okay, and PHS, it can bioaccumulate in food change. That means that it can be accumulated in the fatty fat in our tissue. Okay, so and it can tend to concentrate in our tissue, and they can be persistent for more than 20 to 30 years. Here is I will discuss to you how the PHS can become carcinogenic. So research show that PHS themselves are not carcinogenic, but their metabolite product are carcinogenic. So what happens is that they undergo chemical transformation where the oxidation of the benzene ring form epoxide ring. Okay, so this is an example of the PHS. So it is made up of fused ring. So once the one of the fused ring is oxidized, it will form epoxide ring. So this was initially a benzoapyrene. So once it undergoes oxidation, one of the ring will form epoxide ring. And then following hydration of these metabolites, it will produce an active carcinogen. Okay, so addition of H plus form a stable cation that can bind to DNA, thus inducing the mutation and also cancer property. So this is the structure of the metabolite that consists of this mutation and also cancer property. Okay, and then the transport in the atmosphere. As I said, in the atmosphere, we have about 0.1% of PHS. But the behavior or the form of the PHS in the atmosphere depends on the number of the fused ring you have in the structure. Okay, if you have 4 or less than fused ring, it remain as gases, so it will form a degradation product upon reaction with free radical in the air. So you see that in the air you have a lot of sunlight irradiation. This is photon energy that can react with the PHS and it produce radicals. But those that have more than 4 fused ring, it will have low vapor pressure. So it will condense and absorb on surface of suspended soot or ash. So you know that particulate matter is a solid. Okay, so you can have the PHS. It can be in any form. PHS absorb on the surface. So it's only on the surface. So can you imagine, okay, if this particulate matter is PM 2.5 or PM 10, okay, they are respirable. Okay, so this PHS that are absorbed on the suspended solid, it can enter your breathing system and into the lung. Okay, so they can, in the end, they can accumulate on your lung. Okay, which will, in the end will cause respiration problem. Okay, and then in the hydrosphere, PHS are also used in cross-sort. Okay, so they are used as wood preserve and so on. So once they are used for painting or they are used for coating, they are immersed in water. So in this case, the PHS can leach out and then they can cause water pollution, which in the end can end up in the aquatic organism. For example, lobsters, fish, and so on. Okay. And the major problem with PHS is that if oil spills occur, okay, they will cause a pollution. Okay, so besides the oil being they have a very thick, it can slows down the photosynthesis in the aquatic system and so on. They it can absorb onto the surface of aquatic organism or birds and so on. It can also produce PHS, which is another type of pollutant beside the oil or the heavy metals that are consist in the oil. So if an oil spill occur, it is a very serious environmental problem. Okay, because it can contribute to many types of pollutants, including PHS.